Purdy's, I think, solidly kind of in that lower tier 2. His production has been better than that, but I think also, people understand that he's got some good things around him too, in the way that the scheme and all that.
You are, you tell me, are you known for the QB tiers? Is this like that's kind of your main thing, right?
I would say that's probably the thing I'm most known for of the staples, except for this week, because I'm known for being a Hall of Fame voter, which we can talk about that too.
Ooh, we definitely should.
Yeah, the quarterback tiers for sure. Yeah, it's fun. It's a great project.
I think we joked with you when you came on that day at the beginning of the season with your QB tiers and asked you how many interviews you had done that day. And we were, because we were in the late afternoon, I don't know, we were like your 20th radio hit or something that day.
Well, it's become almost a challenge every year to see if we can do more. Everyone likes to talk about the quarterbacks and stuff, so I lean into it. I actually do a whole week because that's all I do, where I'm not doing any writing or anything. I love it. It's fun.
So explain to me, you had Brock Purdy preseason at tier 2. You revisited at the end of the year. He's still tier 2.
Yeah.
Explain what tier 2 is.
I feel like if your quarterback's in the top 2 tiers, you feel like you can win the Super Bowl with them without having some amazing historic defense or something, So I've always felt that if you're in tier 1, I think we know that those guys are, hey, the whole defensive game plan's around this guy. You're playing Josh Allen this week, and everyone's like, oh, my God, this guy, don't make us look bad, right? That's tier 1 usually. But tier 2, to me, is a guy who's going to be in the mix for Pro Bowls, and you feel like, hey, this is our guy. We're paying him, and we don't feel bad about it, right? The tier 3 you can win with, but you got to have a lot more with them. And when you're paying that guy a lot, I question how far you can go. And that's when you really lean into a Tua or somebody like that who, he can do it if it's all right around him, but he really needs it schemed up, right? Or even a lot of Kirk Cousins' career was maybe a little bit like that. He's good, but it's got to be right. So Purdy's, I think, solidly kind of in that lower tier 2. His production has been better than that. Statistically, but I think also, people understand that he's got some good things around him too, in the way that the scheme and all that.
And this Super Bowl is a matchup of a couple of tier 3 guys. So to your point about, you need some around you. Mahomes is tier 1. He got hurt. He didn't have as much around him. So does this give life to those teams that are stuck in tier 2 and tier 3?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think that, Mahomes has had such a stranglehold on the league, and shoot, that's why the Bills are firing their coach, because they couldn't get over him, all those years. It wasn't just this year, it was all those other years. So, yes, I do feel like the Chiefs look to me like what they were at their absolute best. They may not be that, right? So you feel like you definitely have a chance to build a team. I think that Darnold and May will go into tier 2. I think May was climbing, and Darnold climbed too. It's just you got to see it again. You got to see it again, and I think this with Darnold is now 2 good years in a row. He'll be a solid tier 2 guy, and we'll see what happens in the Super Bowl. But I know they're really happy with him.
You had some interesting notes with regard to how the Niners might have been different under Mac Jones versus how they were under Brock Purdy. What did you kind of see and notice there? Because they were good with both.
So definitely with Brock Purdy, you just have a more of a dynamic athlete who can run around for good and worse. I mean, I think that he is going to take some chances as well. But you definitely can feel when Purdy's in the game, because he can beat you when the play breaks down, he can still beat you. And I feel like Mac Jones is not going to do that.
And that's big when you start to think about this Niner offensive line, and they didn't throw to the wide receiver very often. They actually were third fewest completions by percentage to wide receivers. So when you look at this, and I know it's voted on by other professionals, GMs and whatnot, but looking at the numbers you put out with EPA, expected points added per pass play, does that also account for pass plays where it turns into a scramble run?
It would, and it would also account for a play where he throws a 5-yard pass and McCaffrey takes it 80 yards, and that goes into the whole equation, and you hope over the course of a whole season those things even out. There are going to be times when he throws it 30 yards down the field and gets all the credit for that too. So EPA is a good way to measure how well you take advantage of situations, but it's not perfect for like giving all the credit to a player, because there's so many other things that go into just in the scheming of the game, right? I mean, if you have somebody who knows how to sequence the plays and really use their formations well to get, like the 49ers have done such a great job of making you respect the run no matter what, like through their formations, heavier personnel, and so that helps the quarterback then be able to throw in more favorable situations, right? And that's what coaching is.
I know you're going to go as the week goes, spend some time with the teams and everything. And so there's the obvious, right? There's Drake May, there's Sam Darnold. We always know the quarterbacks. What other stories are you kind of chasing? What's percolating in your mind?
So I think there's a really interesting one with the Patriots. Remember when Belichick was the coach, there was always this mystery of, like, what were their tactics, right? Is it legal? Are they doing this? And Vrabel is really great Mike Vrabel, coach of the Patriots, is really great at kind of pushing the envelope with the rules, staying legal, but barely.
Okay.
Right? And so if you look at, I'll give you two ways they do it. One, if you have like a super important 4th and 1, they're really good at the defense guy just barely twitching or moving and getting the false start. They don't do it all the time, but in the big moments, in fact, one of the biggest they did it to the 49ers. The 49ers had a 4th and 1 in 2021. They turned into a 4th and 6, ended up stopping them. Kyle went for it, and they scored a touchdown and won the game. So in this game against Denver, they did it right at the end of the game when Stidham threw that interception.
Yep.
So there's 15 seconds left on the play clock when Denver substitutes. So Denver's had 12 guys in the huddle like they often do, and then the one guy runs off. And when he runs off, there's 15 on the play clock. Now the defense gets a chance to match, right? Their personnel. So the umpire holds the ball. You can't snap it. And the Patriots go through this intentionally super slow substitution. 3 really big guys jog on. One of them turns back halfway. It takes them a long time to get out there. And then they're like, hey, they're poking the guy in the shoulder. I think you're supposed to go out of the game now. And then these 2 guys jog off, and that play clock is going down, and you're getting nervous if you're the quarterback for Denver. So by the time those guys get off the field, the umpire still has his hand on the ball with 5 seconds on the play clock. Now, the umpire has to get to a spot in the offensive backfield. Now, it used to be he'd be where the middle linebacker is. So even when he takes his hand off the ball at 5 seconds, he goes between the quarterback and the running back to get to his spot. So that's time. So by the time Jarrett Stidham snaps that ball, he's under duress, and he doesn't probably notice that the cornerback changed and played off, and he tries to hit the deep ball and throws the pick that loses the game, keeps him from going to the Super Bowl, and we're all focused on what a great play or a terrible throw. No, they were creating the stress in the high leverage moment, so they're very good. They did it on a 3rd and 10 as well. So they've got 5, 6, 7 things they do like that are legal, but if you did it every time, like you're going to get called. But if you do it in the, you know what I mean? Like
I'm hearing
subterfuge is what it is.
Yeah. I'm hearing you say that the Patriots have never won legally.
That's right.
In the history of the league.
Take that and quote it.
Yeah. Cheaters.
He's about to get aggregated, Mark, based on that. It's interesting though, because I look at what Shanahan does with all of the pre-snap motion and what I call the cheat motion, where Juszczyk comes from the wing and he goes back and then he immediately returns, and the left tackle who's a half yard off or maybe he's a full yard off. So all these teams do these little subtle, like cheatery kinds of things.
Well, they put McCaffrey. Remember those weird ones where McCaffrey's kind of in the backfield, but he's way out to the side in the backfield? They're trying to, I think, keep him away from that defensive end getting a hand on him, right? Because he wants to be able to release or something. But if he's in there, there's going to be some big guy who makes his life harder, right? So they're all of these are cat and mouse games. I had a conversation with Mike Martz, remember the coach, Mike Martz,
sure.
A couple weeks ago, and he was like, oh yeah, we used to, I think he goes, my record was like changing the personnel like 5 times during the same huddle, because he'd just be watching the defensive coach going crazy on the other side. Those guys are going nuts. Give me the personnel. And so you just keep changing it, and those guys are, yelling at each other on the defensive headset, and it's all designed to just kind of screw with people.
Doesn't this give Seattle somewhat of an advantage, because watching them, they put their 11 guys out there, and who they are, and we're just going to be here and play defense.
That's a really great point. Now, what we were talking about was Patriots defense against Seahawks offense doing that. But yes, the strength of the Seahawks defense is that they can kind of play with a lot of the same guys. Now, the Rams have had their number a couple of times here and put up some points on them. Which I give Stafford a lot of credit for.
Yeah,
maybe Drake May's MVP cases if he does the same thing. I just don't think he's gonna.
You're touching on something that matters a lot to 49er fans.
Yeah.
Because there was and you know this, we're not actually playing in the games, but a lot of people, their ego is tied to what happens with our teams. And it was one hell of an ego slap to play the Seahawks twice in 3 weeks. Never, ever score a touchdown. And then we go home, and you turn on the TV, and Matt Stafford just boop, 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 touchdown. And it's like, what the hell was that? So, Mike, what the hell was that?
So I think, obviously, some of it, the 49ers are not at full strength. So you don't have their whole offense out there. They don't have Kittle and all of that. in their receiver situation, whatever it is what it is. So that's some of it. But I do think McVay and Stafford have a different gear. Like nobody sets up an offense better than Kyle Shanahan, but I think they're maybe mixing it up and changing up some things on an individual week with a super veteran quarterback. Because Mike McDonald, the coach of the Seahawks, said after the game, he kind of tipped his hat and he goes, they did some things on second down that they had never done before, and it totally screwed with us. So they're like, for example, their main personnel group this year was at 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. It's kind of an unusual one. You used to see it in like shorter yardage, but they're doing it for like their offense. And yet on second down, they went to 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, and then changed some of the formations. And what it was doing was letting them have the best of both worlds. Like they were able to pass while keeping the Seahawks kind of still worried about the run a little bit, and they were just shredding them. So no one else did that. It was really only them. So I do think that is something to study, probably.
No doubt.
If you're Kyle Shanahan, obviously Kyle could probably give the real exact answer schematically.
Yeah.
But I really think it is a combination of some McVay flexibility, because McVay's really had different iterations of that offense. If you look at it, he's had the pure drop back offense when he first got Stafford. He had the pure 11 personnel, all of that. He had the Jared Goff play action offense, and he's kind of had this hybrid one now where they do a lot of the play action, but they're also still Stafford drop back. And I think you got to give him credit, but Stafford does unlock a lot of that too. He's a little bit of a different player.
I'm interested to see Shanahan this upcoming year because he loves the 21 with Juszczyk, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. Well, the 1 tight end, George Kittle, isn't going to be there right away, and your receivers haven't been terrific. So I wonder if Shanahan's going to have that gear to where he actually switches, because he's been in love with 21 forever.
I would love to see that too. Like, that would be very interesting to study. I would like to see what he did with Houston if he went back far enough, or even, somewhat in Washington. That would be interesting to see, because maybe 21 offense bet when he was in Houston probably was the base league offense in the league. So he may have been doing that anyway. But it's an uncommon one to just do. And if you stick with it when it's not really there, that's not really a good sign, right? You got to be able to flip it up.